There's so many things that we take for granted when we're staying in a place for so long. And when you move to a new place, there are also so many things that you look back and think, okay, we need to change. We need to see some progress in these areas. And for me, this has been the impact of having relocated from Malawi to Scotland. So let me share some things that I think will be useful in your life, as they've been useful in mine from this transition. Hello and welcome to On Your Lane. This is the best place for ambitious people who are taking charge of their lives, making that impact, making that income, and living fulfilling lives. And today we're talking about the adjustments that I have made and I am making after relocating from Malawi to Scotland. It's been quite the adjustment, and being a person who loves to read and who has traveled fairly, I think I underestimated the impact this transition would have on me. I really underestimated the experience. I thought, I know how to do things. You know, you are online all the time. You almost feel like you live in a world like that. And I think it's kind of sad. I'm going to put a sad voice right now because it's kind of sad. But I come from a third world country. And I am one of those people who love my country. I love Malawi with all my heart. My soul is right there, and I always defend it. When you call us one of the poorest countries in the world, I'm going to defend it. I'm not going to be in debates because I'm tired of those, but I see the potential, I see the ability, I see what Malawi can and should be, and every time I'm comparing it to other places, I'm quick to go back to it. I'm quick to be faithful to my land. And so me coming here hasn't been one of those things I'm like, whoa, let's do it. It's really been one of those things that I felt a lot of like infidelity, like when you feel unfaithful. I'm faithful to my country, but I also am a Christian, and I believe that God works in amazing ways, in different ways, and sometimes these ways are not ours. So me moving and being open to the move was one of those things where I'm like, I need to let go of this control that I have and this vision that I have that involves me doing specific things, because God can use any pathways if I'm open and I'm willing. And I was like, okay, exposure, I talk about it a lot. Exposure can only bring positives that I can learn from and improve from. I had that experience when I lived in the US for about 2 months on a fellowship, and coming from there, I was so fired up for the vision that I had for the nation, and it was so powerful that I go to a different country, and my friends and my family thought I'd be like one of those people who are like, I want to stay here, I want to stay in this country, but I didn't feel that way. After being exposed to a foreign country, very developed, amazing processes, amazing spaces, I felt like I wanted to go back home to do that work there. I always said, they have completed, they have developed. Now, who is developing us? And I'll always come back to that. So I just wanted to give a little background as I talk about the adjustments and the change of mind that I'm having after living here for a little bit. The first thing is the weather. It was not even on my list, but during the taking of this video, I had to pause to go take my daughter from school, and it's raining. Yesterday it was super sunny, and it's spring. And I would watch these shows like House Hunters on these home channels, and I would be like, I don't understand why people are relocating for the weather. I get it. I get it now. I get the beauty of having sunny weather all the time. It's not all the time, but it's most of the time. And that's a blessing, the blessing of brightness of the sun. It lifts your mood on its own, and it allows you to do so much, to dress anyhow. I enjoy that. I enjoy being crazy and playful with my fashion. Right now I have to put a jacket on it and another jacket on it. I was freezing a few days after I came because I kept underestimating the cold and underestimating the wetness. So that's one thing I have to adjust to. And I thought it was just nothing, one of those things that people, when they have traveled abroad, they exaggerate. But it's a thing. It's a thing. I love the ability to just go out and play with kids. I love the ability to just go to the lake and swim and just wear a tank top, and it's just beautiful weather that we have in Malawi, and we underestimated it. I underestimated it. I took it for granted. And so I am grateful, fully grateful for that, and I'm adjusting to this. So the things I'm adjusting to. Number one is the weather. I've mentioned that. Number two is the small spaces. The houses are so small. It's a fraction of a house I had in Malawi, and it wasn't even a big house that we had in Malawi. But I kind of like it. I like the small spaces. It's more intimate. I know what my kids are. I can talk to everybody all the time. At the same time, it's easy to maintain. It's just my husband and I. He's doing school, I'm doing work and the home and everything. So it's easy to maintain this way. And it's just the four of us. And it also helps me get this responsibility to the kids as well. So they know their space, they know when to clean up and stuff like that, which I never did in Malawi because we could live in the same house and never cross each other's paths. That's not possible here. So we get to see each other more. We get to support each other more. My kids are becoming needy. But what I mean is, in the middle of the night, they scream. Like, they'll scream, "Daddy," and stuff like that, and they know they'll be heard. In the other house, they couldn't. So, yeah, but I like it. I like that it's easy to manage. I like that it allows us to be more intimate. But it takes so much adjusting that you can just move in the space and you're done with the house. And the bathroom is right there. And it's just tiny. The kitchen is like a pocket of a kitchen. But yeah, that's something. But it's so good for cleaning and management. The other thing is convenience. I love the convenience of life here. I love that I can be very specific with my diet and find what I'm looking for. It's so convenient to get to a store and get everything. It's so convenient to get clothes because they're in one place. You can find clothes everywhere. There's so many options, and the buyer, the customer, is being catered to. Of course, it helps you spend more money, so it makes good business sense for the sellers, but it's just so convenient to be able to say, I'm going to go here and get all my clothes, and there are not pockets of shops everywhere. I love that kind of organization and convenience. I love that there's this delivery system is not magical. It's not like, okay, so this is how you deliver to my house. I do that. I sell planners and I have them delivered to people's homes, and it's such a headache to have things delivered because you have to give them the map, they have to call you, and then you have to send them a pin. It's not working, but just being able to just give a code and people get to your house, it's so cool. It's so cool that I can do my food, like my salads and stuff and my healthy eating very conveniently without feeling like I'm breaking an arm and a leg. I'm looking for specific things that I can't find. That is such a blessing. I enjoy that. The other thing I'm adjusting to is my kids. I'm adjusting to my kids. And this is really deep for me because living the way I was living in Malawi, I was super busy. Very busy building my business, running multiple things, being very focused. I would put in my diary time for the kids. I would actually put it in my planner and say time for kids. And I would sometimes breach that plan to spend time with the kids. And then I would have to make up for it, feel guilty for it, and maybe the next day take them swimming and just finding pockets of time to spend with them. And I truly feel like I didn't know who they were. They were my kids, but they are humans with their own personalities, with their own ambitions, and with their own quirks. They are very interesting, and my kids are very funny. One of them is super smart. The other one is smart too. But I didn't know all that because in Malawi, I was living my own life, and they would be part of that life according to my convenience. And even with my spouse, he has his work and he would have pockets of time available to us, would show up, would connect, sometimes won't, sometimes I'm too busy, sometimes I'm like, I'll talk to you later, we're tired, we sleep, and everything keeps going, even without our active participation. It's different here. Nothing happens without our active participation. And that is nice. It's nice that he can have classes all day, but still actively participate in my life, in my kids' life. And it brings in an intimacy in the family that I didn't know we lacked. I didn't know we could cultivate, because you just get used to like busy dad, mom, and life happens this way, and you miss out on so much in learning to understand your kids. And I remember people telling me that in some discussions that if you want to be able to shape your kids, spend more time with them. And I felt like I spent time with them. But looking back, it wasn't spending time. It was me feeling guilty, or me just making a little bit of time, go swimming with them, come back, and they go back to their life and I go back to mine. They're being managed, looked after by somebody else. And I'm like, okay, dinner time, they go to dinner, they come back. Whereas now I know why they don't like some foods. I know what they're feeling. I know what's going on with them. And my husband, I don't know, it's just the environment, just knowing that it's just us. My husband is even more in tune with the kids as well. He is more present and we can talk more. And I was talking to my sister the other day and she felt like, oh, you're so busy. I'm like, actually, I'm not feeling as busy because of having schedules, of course. But at the same time, it's just knowing that this is my responsibility. These are my kids. They were making me busy in the past. I would say this is too much. But now it's like they're humans. They're my humans. They're my people. They're my friends. And so it has given me that intimacy, that understanding of my kids that I didn't have before. And I would hear from my maids about how difficult this one is, how they don't eat this. I remember one of the things I had done to make life easier at home is just to make sure we have beans all the time and eggs all the time. One of my kids wouldn't eat anything else but beans and eggs. That's it. So we had beans and eggs all the time. We would switch it up to sausage. He would have the sausage or two here and there, but it was beans and eggs with everything he was eating, whether lunch or dinner. And that's just normal. And I just treated it as normal. That's what we're doing. When we came here, he's opened up to different things. What was boring for him was the fact that the food was not exciting. So I cook now. I make my food exciting, not for him, but because I enjoy being creative with food. Now he eats so much more. And I look back and say, okay, the issue wasn't that this kid was picky. It's just that the options were limited because I was not actively involved in his life that way. So I couldn't ask, what do you want to eat? Because I didn't have time to ask what you want to eat. I had a schedule, actually, a menu, and things would just happen that way. Now I ask what you want to eat. He's eating pretty much everything. Everything that I said he never used to eat. We used to call him a vegetarian. He's not anymore. So that is deep for me. That is really deep, and that's an adjustment. Though it looks like an inconvenience, I believe that life here, people treat kids as central to life, not as part of life. So even if I'm talking on the phone and in a meeting and there's something about kids, people be like, oh, do kids, school, they demand your attention as a parent. They don't beg for your attention because in Malawi you can show up for school stuff and not show up. It doesn't matter. For them, they demand it. They take the kids seriously and you must take them seriously as well. Of course, I'm sure it will have its own challenges, but I just saw it as a difference that I'm adjusting to but totally appreciating. Another thing I'm adjusting to is my qualification. I am an accountant by profession. I'm a chartered accountant. Became a chartered accountant way back in 2009. It's like I'm dating myself by saying this, but that was way back. And through life, I put that behind me to focus on building a business, and I'll use aspects of accounting. I think accounting has blessed me in so many ways in being able to get certain grants and being able to explain my business in certain ways, in being able to do some analysis and various analysis for my business, which I wouldn't have done if I didn't have the accounting profession on my back. I would look at it and say, oh, it's something that is peripheral to my life. Okay, it's just like a beautiful add-on that I don't utilize. And here it's been highlighted. It's like, that card you can flash and it can open doors for you. I don't mean it like that, but it's a very profitable profession here. It's a very profitable qualification to be a chartered accountant here. And I was just looking for side gigs while I was here. I was like, okay, let me see what I can do to make more money on the side. And I was like, okay, I'll do this social media management, this personal development stuff. And then I saw accounting and I was like looking at the different pays on these side gigs. My goodness, you couldn't even compare. And I was like, wait, you mean like what? So it's just been an interesting adjustment to see accounting rise up in my life and show me possibilities that I did not existed. I think in Malawi it's kind of interesting. The opportunities are limited. You can either be in a job or you work full time, that's it. Whereas here you can play around with your skills and talents and your flexibility. And so it allows you to work two jobs, allows you to explore your skill set. It allows you, there's so many opportunities. I remember looking at jobs available and I was like, okay, this is so much. And I went to another site and there was so many jobs and I thought I would see the same jobs on all these sites. They were different. And the next morning they sent me new ones. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting because where I'm from, when there's a vacancy or a couple of them, you'd know, and then you keep seeing the same ones over and over. It's not like you go to a different place and you see new vacancies. It's very unlikely because the market is so small. So you just know somebody, like you can actually meet there, all of you applying for that role together. So it's super interesting to see such a big pool of opportunities for a qualification that I have and I haven't utilized. And it took a while for me to actually go like, can I be an accountant again, even part-time? Can I? But adjusting, right? It's adjusting. It takes you out of your normal box. It really challenges what you have believed or what you have done and brings new pathways to achieving the things that you want to achieve. So I'm calling it an adjustment, but it's also an exciting adjustment to me. I think it's different when you're making the adjustment and it's like, oh, I wish I had that qualification. I would have used it here. But for this, it's like an adjustment where I'm like, I have a qualification. I can use it here. Yay! So that is exciting. Another thing that I am getting used to is that there are so many opportunities for hard workers. In Malawi, there are professions that thrive. And there's some professions where we just say you can't make it in that profession. But here, if you're a hard worker, if you work hard, you have good work ethic, you can make it. You can have the life you want. You can be anything, whatever role you want. It doesn't have to be an office role, like just any role. You can be a janitor, you can be a caretaker, you can be like a call center person, you can be so many things, and that's okay. I feel like in Malawi, maybe it's an African thing, I'm not sure, but there are some roles that are dignified and they're the ones that attract the money. And if you're outside those roles, you're going to have to work really hard. You're going to have a really, really smart mind, and you have to find your positioning. You know, businesses, yes, you can make money in businesses, but then you have to work really hard in specific businesses, in specific positionings, in specific skill sets. Like it limits no matter how hard you work. With this place, I keep seeing different businesses are rising. I'm like, oh, this business just makes packaging, not all packaging, just packaging for burgers. This business just makes plastics for this. This business is purely somebody's passion. They just discovered that kids want this and now they're offering that. There's a whole business around the YouTube channel. There's a whole business around a movie. There's a whole business around everything. Everything. Like, I have a planner business. It's within my other business. I sell planners. But with the space here, you can have just planners as your business. That's it. You just sell that planner and you make lots of money from it and earn a living from it and employ people from it. It's so amazing. As a farmer, you can just be a milk farmer. That's it. You can just grow lettuce. That's it. Like, it's so beautiful for me to see that hard work is rewarded like that. Shows me how far we are in my country to achieve something like that. But what I like about the time we're living in is the technology that exists that is able to pull us in Malawi, like frog jump, instead of moving brick by brick following. We can just frog jump into the future, into the technologies and the systems that people are benefiting right now in the developed world and apply them to our space and be able to see the benefits. That's the beauty of technology. But I like that if you're, let's say in Malawi, like you work as a laborer on a farm, you just dig, you can make a living just being a digger. You can make a living being a bricklayer. That's powerful. That you can have your own house, your own car, a whole livelihood. You can go on vacations. You can do so much. If you're a hard worker, you have good work ethic, good support system, and you have defined what you're about, even at that whatever career path that you have chosen or not chosen. Also, sometimes you get used to negative things. When they're taken away, you sort of don't realize it. Like, there is no evident corruption. I don't know if there's corruption or not in this country. I don't know. But in my country, you wouldn't say, I don't know. You would see it. You'd see it when a police person stops you. You see it when you're applying for anything. I was actually giving an example the other day. I was talking to my husband and we were talking about how we wanted to get a cake quickly at a bakery. And it was a supermarket, and one day in the evening we were like, okay, we need to get a cake for somebody's birthday. It's a surprise. We can't get it customized by one of our favorite bakers because it's short notice. So we go in there and I'm like, we want a cake. Like, cool. I'm like, that cake is available. They're like, yeah, but if you give me this much, I can make it available to you. I'm like, it's there. Like, well, we're not supposed to sell them in the evenings. I'm like, but nobody's buying it. Simply put, this person could have taken the cake and just given us and would have paid for it, simply. But he wanted us to do him a favor because according to his work, if it's not bought in the evening, they can just discard it, you know? So he could have said, okay, we discard them in the evening, but you can get it at this price and stuff like that, officially. But he was like, okay, give me money for me to give you the cake. I'm like, we're buying the cake. We're giving you money for what? So that was, for me, I remember being in that shop and thinking, this is rotten. This is a rotten mindset. That you feel you have the right in your employer's space to prevent a sale because you want somebody to give you a bribe. That is just a mess. That is a mess. You go into a supermarket and somebody follows you around offering you things from the same supermarket at a discounted price if you give them something. It's like you have to fight against corruption like that. Even then you're like, okay, I only had this much money, maybe if I give him and I'll save something. It's like it's unnecessary, and it's deep rooted. And that's why when people talk about how leadership, this leadership, I'm like, guys, it's beyond leadership. I love a quote I saw that we deserve our leaders. Our leaders come from us. You know, you and I, over time, are going to be the leaders. We are being conditioned in the environment we're in. And if corruption is normal, it's not going to change because we are leaders. We become so conditioned to it, we just treat it as normal. It feels strange when a police person stops you and it's just proper. You show your papers, everything's done, everything's good, you go. You walk into a shop and people who are reaching out to talk to you, they're either working there and they're trying to support you, but it is refreshing. It is refreshing to be able to just be without thinking somebody wants a kickback, and just to be able to inquire. You walk into a bank, you walk into places, and when you're not getting what you want, you can inquire, you can meet somebody, and they will support you and you'll be heard without fearing that, okay, let me just back away. Because sometimes customers feel like they need to beg for service. We need to beg to be treated nicely. It's refreshing, but also saddening for me, because I do know that I'm part of that process as well, where in one way or the other, maybe I have given bribes. I have wanted my life to be faster, so I'm like, you know what, just take the money and let me go, stuff like that, you know? So there's a lot for us to do, God help us. The last thing I'm adjusting to, I think it's very connected to the last point, is organization. Oh, it's so organized. And I know people who live here will think, oh, it's not organized. I've heard people complain about healthcare and stuff like that. And I think I'm able to see the difference and appreciate it because I'm coming from a different place. And so being here, I see things done at the right time. Like even in school, to the T, man, to the T. Like, this is time for this, this is time for this. This is the system we do for kids getting into school. That's how it's going to be. When kids are enrolling in school, this is how it goes. And it's not like, okay, so who are you? Then this is how it's going to be. No, it's just like, that's the way it is. And I like that. I like that we know what time the bus comes. I like that we know that buses are, like how many buses come here and what time they're going to go, how you pay for the buses. It's just like simplified life. You know, I think that's the beauty of it, is that your basic needs, you don't have to use your willpower, you don't use a network or connections, you don't have to waste energy negotiating, bribing for basic things. So you can free your mind for really productive things. Because sometimes you're befriending people on a filling station because you're just thinking, hey, with the way fuel is being scarce, I just need a friend here. You're befriending people at the water company because you're thinking, hey, with the way things are, I just need somebody there so I can ask them what's happening with the water, or maybe they can help me when I'm struggling. And I'm like, oh, somebody's taking responsibility for something. You know, there's trash is taken at a certain time. Housing is how the process for housing. I like that. I like that because sometimes I love Malawi so much, but sometimes I feel like I'm too responsible for myself. I want somebody to take some responsibility. This is what I mean. I'm responsible for my electricity generation. I'm responsible for my water generation. I'm responsible for my food. Like, I can't trust when they say there's no MSG in this food, that there's no MSG. I can't trust that when they say, oh, you can eat these vegetables, that did they really watch the time they sprayed it with medicine? Did they watch the 14-day window period? Stuff like that. You know, that's coming from my experience as a farmer, because I would remember that we'd grow cabbages and then you'd spray them because there were some diseases or some insects that were attacking the cabbages. And the rules would be like, don't eat, don't consume, don't touch within 14 days. And you find in a couple of days, people are harvesting the same things and you're like, 14 days? They're like, oh no, that's just a guide. And they're selling it. So you buy it in the market, you just think, oh, this is okay. But there's no one who has checked anything on your behalf. So it's your responsibility. I'm responsible for so much. I'm responsible for my kids' education. Are they in the right school? Are they getting the right education? Are they being taught the right things? I'm not saying I won't be responsible for those things here, but there's more transparency, there's more organization. So I take responsibility to a certain level. You know, I take responsibility that is maybe sensible. I can't be responsible for my own electricity and my own water, sanitation, and stuff like that. It's exhausting. I was so used to it. I never complained about it. And I got here and I'm like, this is kind of refreshing to know that I can trust the electricity generation. I can trust the water. I can pay for things and they will happen. And that's just quite an adjustment. It's a good adjustment, but also saddening for me, being somebody who loves where I'm from so much. Also inspiring that then we have room to grow. Maybe we'll see progress in that light, something to pray about, something to get organized about. But yeah, so that's a few of my adjustments being here, and I hope you found something useful there. You can drop me your comments so we can talk about it. If you have any questions about working with me, about anything we've talked about, drop them in the comments below, and there are my links in the description where you see different programs that are for free, others are paid, but some are for free, where you can learn, you can up-level your life, and you can begin to build the life that you desire. You can connect with me. My name is Mavis Tanizo Kanjata. I'm all over social media and I'm here every week. So I'll see you next week. Like, share, subscribe so that we can continue to grow this community. I'll see you soon. Bye.